MG has done fairly well in India, and that's thanks largely to one product, which is the Hector. It's a big car, almost as big as the Toyota Fortuner, but comes at the Hyundai Creta money. So from the size to the value perspective, it's absolutely bonkers good. And then MG has done what any new manufacturer really needs to do, that is to keep updating the product offerings. And that's exactly what has happened with the Hector. It has continuously improved the product ever since it was first launched. And now in 2023, MG has given the Hector its first very big update as a major mid-life facelift that you see behind me. Now this car is instantly recognizable as a mid-life upgrade or a facelift, a major facelift, because of this frankly ugly looking grille. And the design is such that it reminds me of a cheese grater. It's just not something which pleases you in any way at all. And the fact that the quality of the chrome surround also is very compromised is not speaking quality to me. And when you look at this grille in isolation, this thing is going to be the first casualty of any light impact even. This thing is going to break very easily if the car is in a front-end collision. The other change is the housing of the surround for the illumination, and then as you move towards the rear, again, a couple of very small changes, but the biggest character change that has happened is in the light bar. It's now a continuous running light bar at the rear. Looks again somewhat of a mixed bag in daylight, but in the night I think the light signature should not be too bad. The biggest change has been on the inside, and as you would expect, to accommodate this huge touchscreen, they've had to change a lot of the dash as well. So the top panel is completely different, but the soft touch elements remain. So you have a nice feeling over here when you touch the materials. And just generally speaking as well, the quality leap that MG took with the Hector in the last update was big, and it just continues that progress in this very big facelift as well. And apart from, of course, the materials used, the design is also somewhat different. Again, essentially to accommodate for this screen, which is the biggest in the industry right now, I think. The thought is nice, the thought is very novel, and it also gives you that flaunt factor. It is something that you will like to show off to your friends, and it's a big talking point. But it's really just that, it's a fashion accessory. Because on the functionality side of things, it still suffers from lag. The screen is not the most responsive, it hides everything that lets you control the car, and that can become a little irritating as well, because even the HVAC or the climate control system, when you pull that up, you have the fan speed right at the top, and you have the adjustment for the temperature at the bottom. So if you have to go from fan speed and the temperature control, you really have to go all the way from the top to the bottom, and you will have to take your eyes off the road because it's not very intuitive. But other than that, on connectivity, this thing is loaded. It comes with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless charging as well. So all those features which are rapidly becoming the norm, everything is taken care of. And then you have the ADAS suite. There are 5 levels of autonomy, and this one is the early step. So it's at L2 or level 2, where the functions that you have are essentially lane assist and also adaptive cruise control. So you set the adaptive cruise control, and the car or the system is going to take care of everything for you. For example, if the car in the front is slowing down, it is going to slow down and maintain the distance to the car in the front. And when it senses that the car in the front is accelerating, this thing is also going to pick up speed. So that is very nice, and it works very nicely as well. The lane keep is also something which is extremely strong, and if you have well-paved roads, this one is going to work very nicely. But again, the caveat over here is you need to have well-paved roads, of which there are very few in India. It also has forward collision warning in the ADAS suite, and what that does is basically, again, it's all based on sensors. So it senses the vehicle in the front, and if the system recognizes that a crash is impending, it is going to apply the brakes on its own. Now, one last neat trick that the Hector hides, automatic indicators, and it really works when the system feels that you've dialed in enough steering input for it to sense that it is almost like a lane change or a direction change, and the indicators come on their own. Now this engine is the tried and tested 1.5 litre petrol unit, makes about 142 bhp and about 250 Newton meters of torque. I've always found this engine to be slightly gutless at the lower RPMs, and it's still the case in this facelifted version as well. It has never been bad as such, it does everything that it is expected to, and it's been a very refined unit as well, so no complaints over there. Picks up pace just as it used to, a little bit better because of the gearbox. This engine mated to the CVT is a much better combination than what it was with the DCT option. So in totality, this major update that MG has given to the Hector is pretty decent. I wouldn't really say that it's a completely new car. It's not. The platform is the same, and there still are some shortcomings with the Hector. One of the biggest shortcomings is in the way this thing drives, and the dynamic envelope of this car is not great at all. It still feels wavered, it rolls quite a fair amount, and does not give you the sense of confidence that you would want from a car of this size, and it's an SUV, so the general sense is that you are completely in control and have the command on the road, but that's not the case when you get behind the wheel. It absolutely will serve you very well when you're going on straight roads, well-paved roads. The ride quality is going to be okay, but the moment you encounter some rough patches and the road gets twisty, that's when the flaws will come out shouting at you. The basic components of the suspension have remained the same, so it still carries that compromise on the compression, and it is a tall car as well, so when you throw it around, or even if you're going fairly moderately around some bends, this thing will exhibit a lot of roll, and that coupled to the overall experience on the seats that you have, you genuinely cannot treat this car as an entertaining partner to you. Till the time that the road surfaces are good and you're driving on nicely paved roads without any scratchy surfaces, this thing is going to be okay. But the moment the road surfaces go bad, this thing just starts to exhibit a lot of its tantrums. Talking of dynamics, one big contributing factor is the steering. And in this one, the steering system is also not in tune with what you want it to be. It is light, it is vague, it does not really return in a very nice way or an intuitive way. And just the fact that it has a fair amount of play without really translating into anything just shows that the calibrations are just off. And when you have such a big car, such a long car, such a weighty car, you need to have confidence in the steering, because you really should be knowing what exactly the car is doing, and it does not give you enough confidence. But MG has done very well to pack this car up in a big way. You have every conceivable feature option as a default element in this, and then you have other sprinkles of features as well, and the fact that it has ADAS, and the ADAS is only available right now with the petrol CVT variant, but the fact that you have ADAS which works fairly strongly is commendable. And again, I think MG has read the Indian market in a very strong way, and they've also started doing what Hyundai does best, that is give a lot of features, pack everything to the gills, and people will automatically flock to the product. That's again been the case over here. When it came into the market, had all sorts of issues, but the company learned and they have improved the product in a big way. This is a very strong facelift. It's not the most rounded off products. It's not the most suave or the most sophisticated thing out there, but as product updates go, this is genuinely a big leap from what it used to be.